Hello my YouTube friends, transitions are one of the coolest parts about OBS Studio, and custom stingers are a great way to set yourself apart from the pack. Today I'm going to walk you through a very simple custom stinger I create in After Effects. So let's get to it! If you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better YouTuber, subscribe to the channel and click that bell so you don't miss any new content. If you're not sure what a custom stinger is for OBS, it's a custom video transition. OBS has a bunch of built-in transitions like fade and wipe that are really easy to set up. A stinger does something similar, but you can create your own, and the options are limited only by your creativity. I'll show you a simple one today that I create in After Effects, but you could use any editing software to create something like this. So here in After Effects, I'm going to click on New Project. Then I'm going to select New Composition. And I want to make sure that the height and width is 1920 by 1080, the same as my broadcast. And really it doesn't matter any of this other stuff. You can change the duration if you want, but we can do that later. So I'm just going to click OK to create this project. Now the first thing I'm going to do is go up here and use this rectangle tool. I'm going to change the fill color and we'll go with white. And I just want to make sure that stroke is off. And I'm going to go ahead and create a big square fill here. And now I just want to resize this. I want it to cover the entire screen, and I kind of want to rotate it and put it on a diagonal. So I'm going to go into my transform here, and I'm going to rotate this somewhere around 60 degrees and center this up a little bit. And then I'm just going to use these little buttons to stretch it out and make sure it covers the entire screen. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is duplicate this, and I can just select it and use Control D to duplicate that layer. And I'm going to go ahead and rename these. This one is going to be the white shape layer. This one I'm going to go in here and change the fill. So I think I want to use a little bit of a red color here and click OK. Then I'm going to modify the transform a little bit here. I'm going to scale it up so it's a little bit bigger than our white square. Then I'm going to right click and change the name. Call this one red shape, and I'm going to move that shape below the white shape. And there we go. Now what I'm going to do is animate these two items. So what I want to do is make sure my playhead is at the beginning of the composition, and I'm going to click the down arrow here, and I'm going to select position. And because I have both the white shape and the red shape selected at the same time, when I click the stopwatch, it puts in a keyframe right there. So now I'm going to move that keyframe out a little bit because this will be what I want seen as the center of the actual animation. Now what I can do is I can move both of these boxes off of the screen in whichever direction I want, and that automatically adds that keyframe right there to the first frame. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my playhead to where I want my composition to end, and I'm going to go ahead and move the box all the way across to the other side, which adds a keyframe. So now we have an animation where these two boxes move across the screen. And boy, that's just a bit too slow to be a real stinger. So we're gonna have to add some fun and zest to this whole process. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select these two first keyframes of both shapes, and we're going to do a little bit of an easy ease to these keyframes. We're gonna add some kind of dynamic animation. And what this means is that, they'll come in fast and they'll slow down in the middle. So I'm just gonna select all four of these, and then I'm gonna right click, go to Keyframe Assistant. I'm gonna go to Easy Ease, and we're gonna select Easy Ease Out. You can select any one of these. You can play around with them to see which one is gonna work the best. And I'm gonna select these last two keyframes, and we're gonna go to Easy Ease Out just the same. Then I'm gonna select the center two keyframes, and I'm gonna move them closer to the beginning of the composition, and the back two ones, we're gonna move those closer, and this will add a little bit more speed to our animation, but it still looks kind of static. So I'm gonna go into our graph editor here, and we're gonna add a more dynamic movement. So I'm gonna just grab one of these yellow dots, and we're gonna move this that way, like that. And what this means is it's gonna start real slow, and it's gonna accelerate all the way to the end. Each one of these lines represents one of the two. So you're gonna see that the white moves really fast and the red's not keeping up as fast. That's because the red is the other line that we haven't modified yet. So we're gonna select that line. We're gonna go ahead and give that the same kind of curve. And now you should see they'll both react exactly the same way. They speed on the screen, they slow down in the center, and they speed on out of there. This is the kind of animation that we're looking for. It adds a little bit of dynamics to it. Now I'm just gonna drag these once again closer. We're gonna make the animation a little shorter so it moves just a bit faster. And let's see what that looks like. There we go. That's about the speed that I want my stinger to go. I like that. That works really well. So the next thing I want to do is add a logo to this animation. And what I'm going to do is locate that logo on my hard drive. And I'm just going to drag it onto my timeline here. And there it is. We've added it. Now I want to go ahead into the transform for that logo, and I'm just going to adjust the scale to make it the size that I want it. And I'm going to move my playhead all the way back into the middle there so we can see what it looks like with that white background on it. Now I am going to go ahead and move my logo down below the white shape, and I'm going to change it to alpha matte. And you can see the white just disappears, but we can see the shape now. So what I want to do next is I want to go and select the white shape, and I'm going to press Ctrl D to duplicate it, and I'm going to move that duplicate down below my logo and turn it on so it's visible. So now you can see that when we run this animation, my logo appears as soon as we're within that white box area. And that just kind of gives it a cool little reveal. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. Next, I'm going to shorten up the actual project to the length that I actually am using. So I want to go ahead and find the end, and I'm going to move this little bar here, right click here, and then I'm going to trim the comp to the work area. So that means it's only the length that we need. And that's looking pretty good. There are some things we can do. So let's add a little animation into our logo. I'm going to go into the logo and go to transform. And I'm gonna click the little stopwatch next to scale. I'm gonna move that keyframe all the way to the beginning of the timeline. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scale it up a little bit, the logo. I like that. Now I wanna select that first keyframe, and I'm gonna click Ctrl C to copy it. I'm gonna move my playhead to the end of the composition, and then I'm gonna press Ctrl V to paste that right there to the end of the composition. So now I have that same keyframe from the beginning of the composition, pasted at the end, and now we get this nice little thump with our logo. It looks like it kind of bumps. I like that. I'm gonna select all these keyframes. I'm gonna go to Keyframe Assistant and select Easy Ease. Then I'm gonna go into the Graph Editor, and I'm gonna adjust so that it speeds up as it gets farther. And in this case, on the other side, it's going to start fast and kind of ease out a little bit. So it's really gonna kind of jump now, or at least that's the plan. Boom, boom. Yeah, that looks good. I like it. I like it. So this pretty much is the setup for our stinger. Really easy. It's really all you need. Now you can actually add audio files to this if you wanted to, so that it makes some kind of audio noise when you're actually doing it, but it's really not necessary to do any of that. The last step in the process is we want to export this so it's usable in our OBS. So I'm going to go to export, and I'm going to add to the render queue. Now I'm gonna go down here where it says lawless, and I'm gonna click on that. And that brings up some video output options. Under channels, I'm gonna drop that down and select RGB plus alpha. And I'm gonna click OK. Now I just wanna go over here to the output 2, click on there, and select where I want it to go and the name that I want it to have. Then I just click render, and boom, it's done in just a few moments. Now we're done. So we're gonna go here into OBS, and we're gonna add this stinger into our scene. And the way to do that is to go over here to the plus under scene transitions, and we're gonna go down and select stinger. And we can name this stinger so we remember what it is. We'll call it new logo. And I'm gonna click OK. Now I just need to select that file we just created. Then I wanna select the transition point. What this is this is the point where your video is going to change from one scene to another. And this is important because if you want to make sure that it looks seamless, you want your scenes to change on the correct frame. Now we know that this is about 2 seconds long, and we're at 30 frames per second. So I'm going to drop down the transition point type, and I'm going to select frame, and then I'm going to type 30 in here. That takes us directly to the halfway point of our transition, which means the white screen should be covering the entire screen. And now I'm gonna preview that transition, and there you go. You can see it switches cameras at the right time. I'll click OK. Now I can switch, and there we go. We can see our scene transition happening just the way it should. And I'm just gonna go in here and add a couple of cameras in some of these scenes and a little bit of stuff so you can kind of see how this would look on a live stream. So let's select one of the cameras here. There we go. And we'll set this up real quick. And we're gonna go into the other scene, and I'm going to add a media source. We'll put a video in here real quick. And there we go. And we select loop. And now we're all set. Now we have a video in one scene and my camera in the other. And so let's see what happens when we transition from one scene to the next. There we go. That stinger works like a charm. It's absolutely fantastic, and of course you can see how easy this is to do. It's really great. What other tricks do you want to learn for OBS? Leave a comment down below and let me know. If you want to learn how to create other cool transitions for OBS, check this video out right here. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks that can help make you a better YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Fire Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.